What happens when six friends play a ghost ritual game just for followers, only to discover the dead are really listening? Today, we're diving into a Korean horror film that turns a simple dare into a fight for survival. Hello, brave souls. I'm back with another horror film. Today, we're talking about the latest Korean horror film, Ghost Game. Six high school buddies, hoping to win $1 million, arrive at an old warehouse in the middle of the night to stage a ghost game, using these gimmicks to attract fans. They arrive at a back room, and despite the stench, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of fans, they bravely enter. Sure enough, this is a perfect place for ghost rituals. The leading player quickly sets up the recording equipment. Everyone assumes it's just a show, but to make it look more realistic, they go all out, drawing a 5-cent star pattern on the ground with cow's blood. Afterward, Shadow scratched her palm, letting blood drip onto the 5-cent star, as this was the true step of the ritual. But who should be possessed became a problem. Yuri, the possessed person, would wear a hood and stand in the center and well. The others wrote down questions they wanted to know on paper, and once the ritual was successfully completed, they would reveal the answers. And most importantly, after the ritual was complete, everyone said, "Please leave," leaving in the order in which they received the answers. They gathered around and told her, but sure enough, there was no response. Expecting another school ghost story, just as they were about to get disappointed, the ground suddenly shook, shaking the old hanging lamp. Yuri suddenly made a strange gesture, indicating that the possession had been successful. Ji-hun quickly stopped Dong-jun, who was about to step forward, and recorded the entire scene on his phone, a greedy smile on his face. Yuri's hands began to move, stopping in front of Ja-yun, waving her fingers in the air a few times. Then, a step appeared on Ja-yun's paper, but her face was filled with anxiety, presumably because Ja-yun's problem was very serious for her. Then came Ji-hun's turn, with the word K appearing on her paper, followed by Jinhye, whose paper had the word "een" appearing on hers. Finally, the word K appeared on Dong-jun and Jinhye's paper. After answering all the questions, Yuri suddenly became frantic and cried to Jinhye. Fortunately, the suspected incubator couldn't step out of the well. Yuri's foot was trapped, and she kept spinning around the wellhead. Everyone rushed to rescue her and remove the hood. Yuri collapsed unconscious, with a burn mark on her left foot. Ji-hun excitedly said he would post the video online. But then they realized there was no signal in the room, not even the police. Jinhye, terrified by the scene, cried out to escape the dilapidated place, but no matter how hard she pushed, the door wouldn't open. Dong-jun, the captain of the baseball team, grabbed his bat and smashed it in. A few hits broke not only the bat but also the entire handle, leaving him with no way out. While everyone was figuring out how to escape the room, only Ja-yun had been hiding in a corner with an extremely painful expression since she knew the answer to the question was no. Suddenly, she heard a voice above her head and raised her head. Unexpectedly, a ghost exploded in the air above her. Black hands wide opened Ja-yun's mouth, and then clumps of hair were stuffed into her mouth. Ja-yun was in so much pain that she shed tears, but she couldn't move a step. Ja-yun's head tilted back with an extremely painful expression. She repeated the same sentence over and over again, with a strange smile on her face. Seeing that, she was about to reach Jinhye. They rushed forward to stop her. Following behind, the Ji-hun suddenly stabbed Ja-yun to death with a baseball bat. She lowered her head, her expression dazed, as if possessed. Dong-jun shook him vigorously, and he regained consciousness. Raining sense, the question asked if she could break free from the Ji-hun's entanglement. It turned out that Ji-hun had long been aware of the love affair between Ja-yun and a schoolteacher were in a lesbian relationship, and that the Ji-hun had secretly filmed them. The Ji-hun seized the opportunity to blackmail Ja-yun. If she told anyone, he would expose the video he had secretly filmed of the girls in the shower. The Ji-hun, hoping to eliminate this future threat, launched this plan, using the illusion of possession to kill Ja-yun. Before the Ji-hun could explain himself, suddenly, the wall lamp shattered, sending shards of glass piercing her eyes. The next second, the room was plunged into darkness. Using only the weak flashlights, the others continued their search for him, fearing he might harm others again. Following the trail of blood on the ground, they raced up the wall, only to lose him in midair. Suddenly, a few drops of blood fell from the ceiling, hitting Jinny in the face. Looking up, they saw the Ji-hun hanging in midair, a dagger in hand, madly charging at them. The lights in the room gradually returned to their full brightness. Ji-hun was subdued by the three. Fortunately, Dongjun had only suffered a scratch on her arm during the fight. Suddenly, Jinny, who had been lying on the ground, suddenly began to spit blood. Yuri then remembered the ritual rules the Ji-hun had mentioned earlier. She quickly stood up to check the footage, but as they were performing the ritual, countless ghostly hands slowly approached them. But now was not the time to be afraid. She skipped to the final stage, and sure enough, in order to save Jinny, she hadn't left the circle in order. This might be the reason Jinny hadn't regained consciousness, so they suggested performing the resurrection ritual again. Only by sending away the ghosts and spirits according to the rules could Jinny recover. The three of them then returned to the circle. They joined with Yuri. They chanted towards Jinny in the well and opened the door. As expected, Jinny was resurrected once more and continued answering everyone's questions, giving the same answers as the first time. However, this time, Jinny's reaction was different. She removed her mask, and the person in the pit was revealed to be Yuri's sister, who had died in an accident when she was a child. This caused Yuri to be overwhelmed with grief and refused to let her sister leave. Fortunately, Jinny and Dongjun offered some advice and persuasion, which helped Yuri regain her composure. The three kept saying to the little girl, "Please get out," and then carried away Ja 6 and Jian one by one. However, the plan did not seem to work. Jinny was still lying on the ground, motionless. All the three could do was wait. Dongjun took the opportunity to walk over to Yuri and mustered up the courage to confess his feelings to her. It turned out that they both had feelings for each other. Finally, they broke through the veil. However, Jinny turned her back with an intriguing expression on her face. When they woke up, there was suddenly a large pool of blood on the ground. Jian, who had been tied up, was no longer breathing. The three checked the video on their phones. Who could have expected that Jian would actually open the chains himself and cut his own neck with a dagger facing the camera? There was no hope at all. Hopes on calling the police. Fortunately, his phone got a signal, and a message popped up saying that several of their accounts had surpassed 1 million followers. Instead of being happy, Dongjun became even more terrified. He stood up and dug out Jian's paper from his clothes. Sure enough, the question was whether their followers could reach 1 million. Dongjun also revealed his own question, asking if Yuri would fall in love with him. Now that both of their questions had come true, they were probably the next to die. Jinny was going crazy. Not only had her idol been stolen, but now it was her turn to die. She instantly became furious and raised a dagger to stab Yuri. Fortunately, Dongjun walked behind her and restrained her. Jinny was furious, and she kept banging her feet against the wall, trying to break free. The wall was shaking. Suddenly, a secret door in the corner appeared. It was unexpectedly knocked open, and the doors in all four corners opened simultaneously. Dongjun and Yuri walked in. The dark room inside was covered with red talismans. Death character. Dongjun realized something was wrong. This was not an ordinary warehouse, and this ritual was not as simple as the ancient ones. He walked into the dark room again, and a talisman fell down, revealing the text on the back. Dongjun translated the text on his phone. It said he didn't know what it meant yet. It was designed by Yuri, and it was not Jian who organized this event, but Yuri. Her purpose in doing so was to use the ceremony to please her sister. When they were young, Yuri and his sister had a very good relationship, but once Yuri's prank caused his sister, who was standing on a high place, to suddenly lose her balance and fall into the bathroom. When she finished and rushed over, she saw only blood on the floor. Her parents divorced because of her sister's death, and her father took Yuri to a new family. Jinny was her stepmother's daughter. Dongjun turned around and ran away after hearing what this crazy woman said. but was still entangled by Yuri with an iron chain and eventually strangled to death. At this time, Jinhye suddenly woke up. It turned out that Dongjun accidentally broke the chain of Jinhye's foot when he was escaping, and this so-called gift to his sister, the gift, is the key to the resurrection ceremony. Yuri started the real ceremony. She put her sister's doll on Jinhye, and then set up the magic circle like the previous 2 times. Yuri still got a shell, but the difference this time was that the other 5 people all lost their lives. The next second, Jinhye stood up, and Ingzi took off the hood. Sure enough, her sister came back to life in Jinhye's body, but she was still a child soul. She only remembered that she fell in the green room at the end. Yuri, she couldn't accept it. She stumbled and wanted to run out the door, but he just stepped out of the magic circle, and suddenly her eyes turned black and became weird. She kept asking Yuri why she wanted to kill us. It turned out that she had been possessed by the other 5 people, but this resentment strangled Yuri's neck. So, what do you think? Was it fate? Or was it the curse of the ritual that sealed their doom? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me next time for another terrifying story explained.